Two of our beloved American institutions are under attack today, and it reeks of a megalomaniac trying to impose his dictator fantasies, and I have both breaking and disturbing stories for you next. Our featured story about that freak show that is Donald Trump shows his desperate moves to be revered like and even replace John F. Kennedy. I'll have the bizarre details on that in just a minute, but first let's have a look at his other dictator move that is trending and has democracy-loving Americans outraged. That is his continued push to rewrite history and Trump-wash the Smithsonian Institute.
Let's be blunt. This is really bad and really, really dangerous. A nation needs to know its history. It has to be honest about its history, to learn from it, to honor it, and also to then grow and improve for the present and future. There's no way that rewriting a history to fit one president's vision is good for a nation's health or is good for a nation's democracy. We've already seen the Smithsonian change its impeachment exhibit, because to eliminate the references to President Trump. They've been restored, modified, edited, sanitized some, but at least they're back. But now it seems like that's just the first step to a sweeping revisiting of American history through the Smithsonian's. We already know a little bit about how this president views this issue in his administration. We're seeing Confederate monuments being restored to parks in Washington. We're seeing military bases being renamed by two Confederate generals, or clever by half, some named after the same name, Bragg, as a Confederate general. And Anthony Coley, this is not what a healthy democracy does. No. You can be patriotic. You can love your country. We have the 250th anniversary next year. Certainly President Trump and his team are already gearing up towards really celebrating that. Some of that is good. But to honor a nation's history, you have to be honest about it. And to rewash it, to sanitize it, right, to whitewash it, right, to not be honest about it, right, that's not good.
One of the first things Russia did after it invaded Ukraine illegally was have the Ministry of Culture review all the museums to make sure that they were sufficiently pro-Russian exceptionalism. It took over around 40 museums in Ukraine. It turned one museum in Mariupol, Ukraine, into the museum of Andrei Zvanov, who was Stalin's propaganda minister. This stuff happens all the time in totalitarian and authoritarian countries that want to whitewash history for the benefit of propaganda. It's not about highlighting, putting one thing in this corner versus that corner. It's the difference between history and propaganda.
So that's the Trump dictator nonsense that is going on at the Smithsonian Institute, but at least he's not trying to put his name on it, because that would be ridiculous, preposterous, and blasphemous, right? Enter Donald Trump's megalomania and the Kennedy Center. Have a look at his latest not-so-subtle signal about renaming it, or as he likes to think, rebranding it. Late last night, he shared a narcissistic and self-glorifying photo of himself in the presidential box there, and he previously posted, "Great nominees for the Trump Kennedy Center, Kennedy Center Awards. They will be announced Wednesday. Tremendous work is being done and money being spent on bringing it back to absolute top level of luxury, glamour, and entertainment. It had fallen on hard times physically, but will soon be making a major comeback. President DJT." And he also shared this announcement from the Kennedy Center that sounded like he wrote himself. And that is not a stretch, because there's a famous story of him getting busted for calling a reporter while pretending to be his publicist. This time he crafted the self-glorifying message that read, "The Kennedy Center is honored to host a visit from our chairman, President Donald J. Trump, tomorrow. Thanks to his advocacy, our beautiful building will undergo renovations to restore its prestige and grandeur. We are also excited to be announcing this year's incredible slate of Kennedy Center honorees." I want to revisit what he did at the end of the post, where he suggested the name Trump/Kennedy Center. You may have noticed that he put his name first, because of course he did. He's Donald Trump. And he also finished the message with President DJT. This is the megalomaniac who is obsessed with branding, suggesting that his legacy include a mention of DJT, just like how John F. Kennedy is abbreviated to JFK. Except, of course, that happened organically. John F. Kennedy was focused on leading a country, not thinking about what should go on his next baseball cap collection. And that's the fundamental difference between JFK and DJT. Kennedy's name became iconic because of his leadership, vision, and sacrifice, not because he stamped it on buildings, steak boxes, and merchandise worthy of QVC. Trump sees our institutions not as symbols of our shared history, but as billboards waiting for content of his choosing and a makeover with his brand. The Smithsonian whitewashing and Kennedy Center vanity stunt are two sides of the same dictator coin. Together they paint a picture of a man who's less interested in serving the people and more interested in building worship shrines to himself. I'm Dan. Thanks for watching. Please leave your comments below, and let's continue to occupy democracy together.
I hate Occupy Democrats.